to the next level and supplement your BJJ education, then RŌL TV has you covered. RŌLAcademy.tv has over 1,500 videos covering individual techniques, positions, and concepts, including seminars and workshops with top-level competitors and instructors like Chris Wojcik, Robert Drysdale, Aaron Hurley, Emily Kwok, and more. Whether you are a beginner or a more advanced student, RŌL TV is the online platform that can take your jiu-jitsu to the next level. What's up, everyone, and welcome back. If you haven't already, please hit the like, share, subscribe, download, listen, and whatever other button there is, and leave us a review wherever you listen. This helps us bring you the great guests and amazing content that you've come to expect. In this conversation, Thomas's guest shares her journey from being a nurse to owning a jiu-jitsu gym. She discusses the challenges of balancing a demanding full-time job with running a gym, the misconceptions about the ease of opening a gym, and the importance of building a community. She also emphasizes the need for continuous learning and adaptation in teaching, the unique experiences of women in jiu-jitsu, and the impact of leadership and vulnerability in the martial arts space. Here is the RŌL Radio with a 3-time NOGI world champion, a registered nurse, and the owner of new Asgard Martial Arts, Cathryn Discianni.
Welcome to RŌL Radio.
And we are live. Cathryn, welcome to the show. How are you this evening?
I'm good. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me. I hope you're doing well as well.
I'm doing great. However, I hear that you just finished work, you got home, and we were able to connect. Long day?
Yes, it has been a very long day. It's currently 9:30. I'm home earlier than usual, and my day started at 6:30. So I'm happy to be here.
Man, you are grinding, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I've been doing this pretty straight through for the past 3 years. I'm essentially on 16-hour days every single day.
All right, I gotta ask you, before we get into jiu-jitsu, how in the world do you do this? I mean, many people will say, screw this. I mean, like, I can get 9 to 5 and be perfectly happy, sit down on a couch and just chill back, do some jiu-jitsu on occasion. And we didn't even get to the jiu-jitsu and you grinding.
Well, I guess I get bored really easily. I should start with something that's obvious. I don't have kids. Otherwise I probably wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing. But I was a nurse first, and that's where my first, I call it my first job, my real job, comes into play. And then a little over 3 years ago, my husband and I, and business partners at the time, which we have since, it's now just my husband and I, but we decided to open a gym. So when the 9 to 5 stopped, that's when the gym hours kicked in. And that's pretty much how my day goes. In the mornings, sometimes I teach. I used to teach a lot more in the mornings, but now I start work earlier. So my work day starts between 6 and 7, unless I have to go into the gym. And then my work day starts right after. Then I go to my 9 to 5. And then I hop in the car, drive 10 minutes at probably a little bit faster of a pace than I should. And then I'm in for class starting at like 4:30, 5 o'clock. And like I said, I'm home early tonight. Usually I get home from the gym around 10:30. And then I average no sleep because once I get home, I feed my pets, eat really late dinner, and then get ready to do it all again the next day.
I'm smiling because I feel like anybody that I talk to who is in a similar shoes as you, and I've been there myself, as I was opening my academy, I feel like this is just a traditional path of operations. Like, anybody who wants to be successful in jiu-jitsu business, owning an academy, let's be very specific here, but running or being involved in some capacity in an academy and has a full-time job, really has to put up with this. And am I wrong here?
I completely agree. First, I think you might have to be a little bit crazy
A
to do
little?
all the things
Let's get this
that you
straight out of
were.
the way.
But after asking a lot of our mentors that did it, a lot of them still had full-time jobs. I think all of our goals are like, hey, let's be able to just do jujitsu all the time. But unfortunately, the reality is it takes a lot of work and effort and growth to get there. We definitely are getting there. I actually did take a little bit of a break from my first full-time job for a few months to grow the gym a little bit more. And I'm happy to say we're at a point where it's going really well, but I do also love nursing. So I think even if we do get to a point where I can completely come out of it, I might just be crazy enough not to. So we'll see.
Are these realistic things in a sense of like, I feel like I'd love to hear your perspective on this because now it's almost like deja vu for me. Like I'm thinking about how I felt, at this point 10 years ago when I was starting my academy, but it feels like a lot of grind, and I feel like a lot of people would not put up with this. Like there's this perception of go teach one class, eat acai, go surf if you can, whatever, life is good, peace, right? Like and let's roll, but the reality is slightly different, isn't it?
I again completely agree. I think now though you're seeing a lot more people open gyms that shouldn't, that think that it's easy. And you know what? Like more props to them for being able to think that it's doable. But I think the secret is in if you're truly trying to open a successful gym, then that's not what it is. I think it's a lot more work than people think it is. Just like you said, I wish that I was coming home and eating acai. But the truth is behind the business, sometimes you don't even get to train as much. I thought at first when I opened the gym, I was gonna be training all the time, but being a coach and a business owner and having to do the marketing, that's all a lot of work as well. So I think a lot of people don't realize how much kind of goes in behind the scenes. I think everyone thinks they can open a gym, but I think the secret is not everyone can open a great gym. And that's obviously our goal is to open one of the best gyms that we can.
Before we dig deep into this and your life, I'm actually curious about this particular area here because I actually had this conversation with somebody recently, and they said exactly what you said. It appears like anybody and everybody in the world wants to open their own place, and it is easier today than ever to really start jiu-jitsu. Like, I mean, from getting mats, getting gis, whatever you need, equipment-wise, even from fitness perspective, it's so accessible. Like, you can get it online at any time, right?
You could buy a black belt on Amazon.
I mean,
Just
hell
give
yeah,
yourself one.
right?
Yeah.
right. So it's never been easier to do that, and a friend of mine was expressing that it feels like it just anybody can do it, and then we start chatting about this, and we start saying, or we're coming to the conclusion that there is place even for quote unquote part-time places, in a sense of sometimes the casual, very casual, I mean like very, very casual
So
people,
casual. You could
right?
argue they're not even good. But
Right.
yeah,
Well, they need a place too. And would you agree with that? Like it creates layers of quality, if you will.
absolutely. So I kind of agree and disagree at the same time in the sense that like our gym, we definitely have a target audience that we want to maintain. We want to be a competitive gym. I like to compete. My husband, AJ, who's my business partner, likes to compete. But at the end of the day, I think if you're making a true business, unless you're one of those like super gyms that people are flocking to, there has to be a business aspect where you're also marketing to the hobbyist, right? The average person isn't us that wants to go in world championships, and maybe they just want to like defend themselves or be a soccer mom and come in and like learn a couple moves. So my opinion is that they don't know what they don't know, and I think that's what protects gyms that aren't good, because everybody opens a gym, and if you're good at faking it or marketing, then people don't realize what gyms are good and what gyms aren't unless they do their homework. However, I think that like the reason why I'm like, I agree but disagree is like my goal still is to have a gym where everybody can train there. Do I feel like I want to hold my students to a higher standard? Absolutely. But at the same time, we have like literally a 70-year-old in the gym right now. Do I think that he's going to go out and win ADCC? No, but to me, he's equally as important as my guy that's going out and winning Nogi Worlds. It's just a matter of like figuring out what classes work for him.
And that's hard, isn't it? Figuring out what works for who and how we cater them and how we fill their needs, because essentially that's the business we in, right?
Yes, for sure. I think like you mentioned, there's definitely layers to it, and I think some people are better at identifying it than others. I also think as a new gym, one of the biggest things that people face is you can't make all these classes, right? Because we're all out here with full-time jobs, so it's not like you can start with a lot of different levels. So then everyone's maybe if it's a smaller gym, everyone's like stuck in one class, and you have like really good people and really new people. So how do you combat that? I'm really fortunate when we opened the gym. I feel like we did have a mentality of go big or go home. So the day we opened, we had opened with 80 students from the jump. So we were fortunate enough to start with a fundamentals class and an intermediate class. But I do think that a lot of gyms don't have that ability, and that also can be hindering to people that are already in a spot that they know what they're doing.
Yeah, I feel like it's hard to compete in that area in a sense of if there is a near proximity, another place that offering, I don't know, 50 or 60 classes a week, and one is just starting and perhaps has 10, 15 or 20 even, that's not even comparable. Like we're talking about apples and oranges here from a selection
For sure.
perspective, right? But this is where quality comes in, right? Being providing a good service and really building that rapport with students and building those relationships, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people, especially now in the age of social media, a lot of people come in, they look for aesthetics.
Mhm.
But what I've learned is I feel like they come for, what they see and what you sell them, but they stay for the culture. And ultimately I feel like they stay for you. As a gym owner, I'm sure maybe you can relate. Like, and I know I can relate. I have my head coach under Paramount Jiu Jitsu. My head coach is Brad Court, and like I like when everybody substitutes in his classes, but I'm there to learn from him. And I started realizing that like our students maybe feel similarly, like because our classes are bigger than if we have a substitute, or like they're there for us because they believe in us and they believe, what we're teaching. So I think that's also really important.
Well, so how do you deal with that when the academy is growing? I mean, from one side, I hear that you're saying, look, you need diversity of classes to supply the demand and need really to what your students need. From the other side, is it realistic to expect for one person, whoever is the head individual, to be present across all of those classes? I mean, at some point, I would envision that some substitutes or other instructors need to come in too, right?
For sure. So full transparency, I'm still figuring that out. One thing I can say is that I'm really lucky because I'm a black belt and my husband's a black belt. So we both divvied up classes 50-50. We basically both teach about the same amount of classes a week. I will say, I think when it comes to the type of jujitsu we teach, we're kind of control freaks. So it makes it difficult to give away some of that control to other instructors. However, in terms of the fact that like we're overworking ourselves a lot, we have opened up to other students that have, they've come up under us or they're black belts under the same lineage as us, the same affiliation, that we have now started feeling comfortable kind of giving classes away. So we do have two black belts that teach each a class with us. And right now that's good for us. Otherwise we make it work. But it does present a problem because the growing student base means, do we have to add more classes and more
Hmm.
times? And is our facility big enough? And even the kids classes actually, to touch on that, is that's been the hardest thing because the more they grow, kids, I feel like they need more attention. So they need more instructors. So I'm like, okay, well, how many instructors do we have to add for each kids class? Because like physically, we can't just be the two of us. So Still figuring it out, but definitely have added a lot of instructors to our roster.
Yeah, no, but I'm laughing again because it's not any different to here. I feel like every other week we have I have that conversation with my kids instructors. Like, we need more people. What do you mean? We just added more
Yes.
people. We need more people. Yeah,
We
it's just,
need more people. Bring all the people to the kids' class.
But that's a good problem to have, right? I mean, like ultimately, this is why we do it, right? I mean, at some point, well, let me ask you. Let me not assume here. What is the ultimate goal for you, or your team, or you and your husband as a team? Do you want to teach all the classes all the time, or the long-term vision? Let's look 10, 15, 20 years out. Do you want to have 2, 3, 5 classes a week, and then you hand off the rest of them to other people, giving them opportunity to grow?
That's a really good question. And one that I think I have mostly figured out, but again, I feel like I'm still figuring it out. The first thing is I'm not ready to retire fully as a competitor. Granted, according to like the IBJJF standards, I've been doing the master's division. But I still have a lot of goals. And I wax and wane. Sometimes I'm like, I'm gonna quit doing this. As a competitor, I'm gonna solely focus on coaching. But the competitor in me really doesn't want to. So that's the first thing, is figuring out when I'm gonna be done that moment of competing. The second thing is I would love, like in the most perfect world, if I had to 15 years down the road from now, look at where I wish I could be, I want to leave behind a legacy, one, so that like people remember the gym as a household name. It's definitely really difficult to do, but I can't even imagine people being like, wow, like when Kat was teaching at New Asgard, which maybe she's given it away to, or maybe she's still teaching there, but she's taking a little bit of a secondary reign. Like, this is what she's known for. She's got really good instruction. People go from all over the East Coast to train with her. Like, they believe in what she's saying, and the gym is still there. So that's my goal. The lineage that we came under, the black belt instructor, again, Coach Brad, he's been open for 20 years, and like locally in the area, people know him. TAC team itself is growing. That's our affiliation, and I would love to be a part of that. People to be like, oh, I know who that is, and I know that how good of an instructor she is. So I'm still working on like the little pieces, but I know that I would love someone to be like they know my name because they know that I'm a good professor, if you will.
So how do you stand out? I mean, I would imagine that everybody wants to have their place to be a household name. I would imagine everybody wants to be a good instructor, which I want to talk to you about how to be a good instructor, but that's in a moment. But how do you do that? I mean, it seems like a new academy pops out literally every week. Somebody is doing something, opening something, and like everybody, um, everybody think that they can do what we are describing. Is that
Yeah, absolutely.
achievable, doable? Like, how do you do that?
I think it's doable. I also think it's very difficult, especially because I'm coming from a place where we're starting from where nobody knows us to people are starting to know us. But how do you do that? I think the first thing is, who are you as a person? Like what drives you ultimately, and how are you going to get to the root of that? I myself feel like nursing actually works hand in hand, with being a business owner, because I am very type A, and I am very structured. So the first thing is, I think you have to do your homework. The best, the best professors, the best instructors are still really up to date on everything new that's coming out. Do you know all the new games, all the counters, all the new rule sets? Can you recite all the rule sets in every single thing that all of your competitors are? And we definitely can, especially as a team with my husband. The man studies more than anybody I know, and we are constantly implementing the new data into our own games. Then we're going out there, trying it, make sure we understand it, then we're teaching it. So are you studying? The second thing is, I think that you have to compare the standards of other gyms, which means you have to know what other gyms are like. People come in and they're like, the old school thought was, I remember like back when I was a white belt, there was like the term creanche going around, that you couldn't cross
Still
train at
is for
gyms.
some.
Is it? I'm not a fan of it at all. I think that if somebody wants to go look at other gyms and see the culture there and they find that it's a better fit, then they should do that. And I feel the same way about myself. I actually have a list, and I'm at 96 gyms. So I have visited 96 different types of gyms to see how their classes are, how they run them, what do I like about them, what don't I like about them. Literally like make running lists. I've been doing it since I'm a white belt. I'm definitely hitting 100, hopefully within the next 6 months. But all those things have like essentially shaped how I feel a good instructor should be. You know, I have a head coach. He has taught me the basics of my game. Like my fundamental game is from my coach, but I've also gone out and like done my research at other gyms. We've traveled far and wide to get to where we are today. And I think that's what sets me apart. I've done my research, I've done my homework, and I continue to do it. So as jiu-jitsu evolves, we evolve with it.
What's interesting about hearing and listening to you is the fact that you extensively talk about doing the work before you do things, and doing your homework, being prepared, studying, analyzing, dissecting, and even visiting other places. I don't hear many people talk about that. I feel like a lot of people, for whatever reason, I'm just going to open my own place. I'm just going to put mats down and just let's roll. Let's do jiu-jitsu. Let's do cool stuff, and
Let's do cool stuff.
well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like
I fully agree.
I feel like that's the mentality these days, especially if there is some kind of friction or conflict taking place. I don't like it here. I'm just going to go across the street and open my own place. I feel that, at least I feel like that's common these days. And what you're talking about is the opposite side of the spectrum. You're talking about, wait, no, hold up. We need to look first. We need to think about this. We need to develop a plan. We got to do our homework. That means there's a lot of work to be done before we do much of the work itself. Where is this, well, A-type personality come from?
Where does my A-type personality come from?
Yeah. Dig in.
Well, to not get too deep, I'm the first in my, I'm an only child. And so I'm the first to go to college. And I have everything that I've done, I feel I've done by myself. Obviously my family's supporting me, but everything I've chosen and where I'm at today, I've done. And I would love to be the type of person that didn't have to do that, maybe got something handed to them, but that didn't happen for me. So even now, like, I just constantly feel like I'm in a state of proving myself, which is a good and bad thing. I don't fully think that's a good thing at all. I don't think being type A is a great thing at all either, but I do think that it always pushes me to want more. And because of that, that leaves me constantly figuring out how we can make solutions better. My husband can attest to it, and I'm sure my students can attest to it. But like when I'm talking about things, I tell them that it's incredibly important to be able to stand by what I say, to lead from the front. So if I'm telling them to do 20 burpees and they're looking at me like they're tired, I'm going to do 25 and I'm not going to look tired. And that's kind of the mentality that has just driven me from the time I was little. So yeah, I don't know.
You are hard on them.
I am hard on them sometimes, but you know what? I think that's the culture. That's the culture. They could probably go down the street and find a gym that doesn't do that. But you know what? They probably wouldn't fit in at our gym anyway then, because I want them to be better, because I want to be better. And I want us to be better. I want us to be better people and be better competitors and better instructors. So whatever I demand from them, I would always demand from myself too.
That's a high bar to set.
It is, and it doesn't work out all the time.
Okay.
But
why not?
yeah. I think when I started, I really have been like this. My husband got me involved, and on day one, I was like, I'm gonna get my black belt, and I'll never forget my coach was like, this girl's crazy, and I'm sure he still remembers this, but I went out to my first IBJJF, I think it was, and I got a participation third medal. Did not earn it, totally lost the match. And my instructor later told me, we took a picture and I wore this medal, right, that I didn't really earn. I just got it because I showed up there. And he was kind of like, you shouldn't really do that because you didn't really earn it, so on and so forth. And he later told me, back when I was an upper belt, he was like, those are usually the type of people that quit. I didn't really think that, you were going to stick around. I said, well, it was just a reminder so that I could go earn it next time. And now I'm really going to wear it for real. So I feel like if you set a standard and you create the standard that you want, like people will follow that want to be in that environment. That's kind of like where this that's kind of where this all started.
You said that type A is not always good. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think with all things in life, you need some balance. So if you're constantly so heavily structured and your standards are so high, it leaves a lot of room to get let down or to feel like you're way too tight on things. And that could impact how you're feeling like emotionally. Also, as like I mention, I feel like we're in the minority. Like when I started, I was like, I'm getting my black belt. My instructor was like, everybody thinks that. And I truly meant it. And then afterward, people came after me, especially in a male dominated sport, like one of the only females 10 years ago at my gym. Like I was one of the first females to be there and then stay there. I constantly saw new girls coming in and I was like, cool, like they're going to do what I'm doing. They're going to stay. And they didn't. They all came in through the door, went out the other door. And now like, I'm really proud to say we have 2 really strong girls teams at the gym I currently train at, which is my home gym, the one we opened, and then the gym I'm a black belt under. But that takes a lot of effort. And when you have that standard in your mind, you're like, well, they're going to be just like me. We're all going to train together. And that's not the case. You start to be like, okay, well, this isn't as realistic as I thought it was going to be. So,
Do you feel that you are a unique breed?
I feel like that sounds like such a biased question. So I don't know. But I would hope so. I feel like, maybe that's what makes me special. Because there isn't anybody like me, but
Well, I don't mean this in a negative way, but you've mentioned multiple things that kind of make me lean in that direction in the sense of several girls or ladies came in and went. You are hard on yourself. You set very high standards, and if I look at society today, it's for being politically correct, bunch of softies. People quit all the time. People quit constantly. They don't even. Let me
Very true.
rephrase. People don't even start things these days. like, tell me I'm wrong, but I feel like
No.
jujitsu is not hard. It's complex, but it's not hard. And I feel often people just quit for the sake of quitting. They don't want to try hard. And what you are describing is nothing but trying hard, which leads me to the question: are you a unique cat? Are you a unique breed? Like people don't verbalize things like you do. It's very interesting to listen to this.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. I would hope to be a unique breed, and I would hope other people would see it that way as well.
Why do you think women don't stick around?
Oof, why do I think nobody sticks around? I think the door
Well,
for
yeah.
jujitsu could be like LA Fitness. Um, uh, I don't know. I think actually I do know. I feel, multiple reasons. One, I think they need a strong first person. I was telling somebody the other day, like, what does it mean to be a leader? There's like 100 definitions, right? But
Mhm.
really and truly, you just need one follower. So I feel like if there is no woman A, like woman number 1, then it's really hard to get woman number 2 in the door. But once there is a first woman who believes in something that's happening or a first person that believes in something that's happening, it's easier to get the second woman. And so I hope that like looking back at my time in jiu-jitsu, it was easier to start finally getting women that were in there because I was there. And I was like, you know, all types of women are all different. All types of people are different. But when they would come in the door, I wanted them to be there so bad, selfishly, to train with me, that I would be just incredibly outgoing. It led to me working at the gym that I got my black belt under. I spent a good few years working there, kind of like in a commission-based role trying to sell memberships. And my instructor would always joke that I was like a good salesperson, but I was good because I believed in what I was selling. Like I wanted the
Mhm.
girls to be there. But I also, I got really lucky on my first gym pick. The culture was awesome. The guys were great. No one was creepy. And it was a very welcoming environment. I never felt injured. And then I actually joined the Women's Grappling Network on Facebook and found out that that's not really the case. There's a lot of stories out there where head instructors are, sometimes they're not great, or like it's not a good environment for women, or the women that are there are not very welcoming, or there aren't any women there. And then it's hard to become woman number 1. So I think for all of those reasons, it's incredibly difficult for a first woman to walk in the gym and make a decision to stay. But now more than ever, there's definitely more women training. So my thought is if it's a bigger gym and there's no women training there, then where are they? Because I feel like they would have at least one or two at this point, unless they're, not in like an area that has a lot of people.
Yeah, but I feel like it's somewhat a tricky situation, almost like what came first, chicken and an egg, right? Because like what you're describing is like we need somebody natural who is stubborn enough, determined enough, has a vision, and really stick around long enough to be the number one. And then from there, if they are a leader in a sense of helping others in a selfish act of assisting other women, then other women will come. Now, if that doesn't happen, then it's kind of a tricky situation, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There are so many factors that go into that as well, like taking into account like age. I'll say another one is
Yeah,
like motherhood, like even just
yeah,
getting married and having kids. So there
yeah.
are a lot of factors that kind of stop it. Or what if they come in and they want to roll with only women and there's not that many women? Um, so there's just so many things that kind of put them at a spot where they might not want to stay. But I do think gyms are doing a lot better of a job keeping women involved. Obviously, even like in terms of competing and stuff, it's been coming up more and more with pay and like, the equality of women and men. So I think all those things are now contributing.
No, I think there was no question about this. What you were mentioning just now, I think competition arena is getting much better overall, but especially for women. And I'll be honest, I think women actually are more entertaining than a lot of the man matches. I mean, you guys are scrapping like there's no tomorrow. Jeez.
I agree. I think women are so much fun to watch.
I think I legit, yeah, and I don't think like I'm not trying to segregate gender or anything, but like I feel like women division are by far more entertaining than men division. Men
I'll
are
take
just
it.
very much more strategic. I don't know, that's good or bad, but it's slower matches, I feel like.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I could be biased here, but I love watching certain women, especially I'm small, so I love watching smaller women, but I feel like their defenses have to be a little bit better, a little bit tighter, just because they are used to rolling with men if there's not a lot of
Mhm.
women in the gym. So they move differently. Women, they
Yeah.
just move different than men. They do different things. A lot of them are more flexible. So
I agree, which brings us to this very interesting point. If women only want to train with women, what is this going to look like 10 years from now? Because if we say that this one efficient, entertaining, and scrappy, for lack of a better term, style comes from training with men, then if that doesn't exist, is this going to convert into something else? I'm not saying good or bad, but is this going to evolve?
I just don't think it'll ever happen. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but I mean, I definitely know of a gym that's only women. But for the most part, I don't ever see a time when it's just going to be solely women training with women and vice versa. There's so many people in the sport and there's still so many people that are like not interested in that. Even at our gym, our girls are spoiled now. We have like a pretty big women's program. They can go the whole night and just train with women and like they're not used to not doing that. And like the other day, one of the girls showed up by herself and she was like shocked. Like she had to train with men. But she didn't care because the men are fun, they're fine, especially if like that's how you're running the culture. She just was like not used to it. Whereas again, I'm not that old, but I'm from a different time. Like I started almost 10 years ago. So I'm used to being like, there is no women in the class, but I don't foresee that it will ever be like women are just training with women. I just think it helps in terms of like understanding body types. If a woman wants to compete, I think it's really important that they like definitely get some training in with women that are close in size and skill, but I don't think it'll ever go completely away.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, let's rewind this a little bit to the beginning. Let's talk about how all this started. What was your first day? Do you remember your
This is my
very
favorite story. I've answered this question many times. When I first started, my husband was, I think he was my boyfriend at the time. He was a 3-stripe white belt, and this guy would come home and put me in the move of the day every day. It was very annoying,
like a
and
typical
it
jiu-jitsu guy?
drive me nuts. And he was like, the one was like a triangle. There's like literally a picture of me like losing oxygen to my brain because of the picture of the triangle. But he's like, you need to sign up. You're going to love it. Like, you're so competitive. I'm like, very money oriented. So I'm like, absolutely not. I'm not paying this membership to wrestle men. And then finally, we're like, not even living together yet. He's like, please come try a class. And I agree. So I'm like, okay, I'm coming on this upcoming Saturday. I'm going to be there, 11 o'clock. So Saturday hits. And as I mentioned, like, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. So it's snowstorming on this Saturday. And I text him and I'm like confirming he's coming. I don't get an answer. So you know what? I'm like, screw it. I said I was going to go. I drive through the snowstorm. I get to the gym. And wouldn't you know, the class is like triangle defense, which is what he's been putting me in the entire time. There was a woman there who unfortunately is unable to train anymore, but we remain really good friends. She was woman number one. She took me under her wing, made me feel so comfortable in this like silly class. And then I was like, great, this was fun. But like he didn't even show up, by the way. My boyfriend at the time, now husband, did not show up to this class. And they got me. I literally was like, okay, well, this was fun. I'm going to leave now. And the business guy came over and he was like, you want to sign up? You can sign up right now. And I was like, whatever, sign me up. That's really it.
That was it.
That was it. I didn't take
I
him
feel
up
like I feel like we should get your husband on this show and get his side of the story. What exactly happened?
Crazy. He's a little bit crazier than I am, so I think you'll get to see that. But he would be a fun one.
What was so attracting about that day? Walk me through. Actually, let's do this one more time. Rewind here for a second. You walk into that place. First of all, he's not there. Are you annoyed at that point?
Oh yeah, I'm so annoyed. But
I would imagine
I'm going to use it as leverage because I'm going to be like, I showed up. This is what I said I was going to do, and you're not even here. Honestly, I never really considered what would have happened if the girl wasn't there because it was the only girl in the class. And like, if we think about triangles, like realistically, it's not like the best first move to start in. It's a little bit of a weird position. So I remember being like, wow, this is crazy. But I had seen it before because obviously he was putting me in one. And I remember being like, this is so nuts that you can like choke someone from this like crazy spot. 'Cause, you watch like TV and you don't see those kinds of things. I'm like, not using any strength. I was smaller then than I am now. I was like 105 pounds soaking wet. And I'm like, wow, I'm so strong. This is the craziest thing. And I think the other thing that helped is actually two things. One, I have been an athlete my whole life. So I was like, just got done being a competitive athlete, like just got done college, don't really have a lot of activities. So that helped. But
what
two,
did you
I
play?
know this.
What did
I
you
did
play
softball and tennis my whole life.
Okay.
So not super contact, but to segue, I think jujitsu is kind of gross, right? To also say like, so a new girl comes in and then all of a sudden these guys are like, you're like, if you see me at the gym, I'm like sweating, I'm disgusting. But as a nurse, I deal with some gross stuff. So everyone was like sweating on each other. Some guys like, dripping into some other guy's eyeball. And I'm like, this is great. Like, so I think where a normal girl might be like, that's disgusting. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, this seems like a good idea. So
that's too funny. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Is there a difference between jiu-jitsu that from your boyfriend at a time triangling you at home versus the triangles at the academy? Is there a difference in jiu-jitsu? Like, is this something different? Or is this the same thing?
You mean like how he was showing it versus like
no, I don't mean the technique. I don't mean what's in your mind. Like, obviously, you know what triangle is. You might not know how to do it, but you've been in it. So like this is not new per se. However, it is a different environment. It is more formal probably, and then obviously he's not there. So what's going through your mind as these two events unfold on separate occasions?
That's a really good question. So I'm going to go back to the picture in my head that I would show you right now. But at home, I had no idea like how he was getting there. I just knew that at some point I was having a hard time breathing, and the photo is like my face is like squished and I'm like definitely changing colors, and then he lets go. But I had no idea like how is that happening? And then when I got there and realized like what's choking what, right? Their legs on one side, your arms on the other side, and like it's just the configuration of like essentially your legs, right? I was like shocked to be able to put it into perspective on how they were getting there. In my head, I was like, at home, I'm sitting on the couch, and then all of a sudden I'm in this position, and like I have no idea what it is, and it seems like unrealistic to say the least that it would ever happen in real life. And then when they taught it, I was like, this is crazy that this is possible. Also, you're like, there's no way I could do that. Like, he's doing it. I'm never going to learn that. It seems very complex to somebody that has no idea what's going on. And then you go in on your first day, and I'm like, oh, I could do that for sure.
Was there an moment of empowerment in a sense where 105-pound female you is able to do this to a grown man efficiently and effectively?
Oh, Thomas, every step of the way has been a moment of empowerment. The first time that I got there, not so much, probably like on the day one class, no. But I can tell you like some of the major milestones would be the first time I showed up at my previous gym, or the gym I'm still a part of, not the one that I own. They have the fundamentals class, which would have been the one that I tried. And then you have to get an invite into what was considered their intermediate class at the time. I showed up to that class and realized that all of the gym, all of Paramount, was men over 200 pounds. And my coach didn't come in yet. And I was like, you know what? I was getting ready to cry. I was going to leave. I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing here. And I remember the end of the class being empowered by making it through, because the guys were so nice, and they were very slow. And I think one thing that I noticed with my students is like, if I slow down, they slow down. This was not me. If the guys slow down, I'm like, great, I'm jumping on them. So like that was empowering. The first time you tap a man, even if maybe he lets you tap him, you probably don't know, because you're just like, oh my gosh, I totally got here. Like that's empowering. The first time you tap a female that's your size, like all of these mini moments. And now like as an instructor, as a head coach, like the first time standing in front of students, and like not only are they there listening to me there, but they believe what I'm saying as a female that's half their size, that they could probably push over and I would fall. So there has been every step of the way. I feel very empowered by all of them. I know, just to like add to that, like at ADCC or CJI this year, I watched all the guys come out team wise, and there wasn't one female coach. There wasn't one female head instructor that walked out with a team. And like, to me, that would be like, wow, I would love to watch a female walk out and represent the male team. Like that would be so cool to see. Like those are the things that really get me now. Not so much even like tapping people or those things. It's the people that believe in you when you're like, are you sure? Because sometimes I'm not sure, even though I try to believe in myself. There's times when you're like, man, this blue belt's giving me a hard time. So every step of the way has been empowering. That's to say all.
Do you doubt yourself often?
Not as much as I used to. There's definitely times, I think jiu-jitsu is an ebb and flow where we all have good days. We all have bad days. We all think about quitting. Think it'd be weird if you didn't. You'd be like, have a special superpower. But yeah, every once in a while, a white belt comes in, and in my head, I should be like, we're setting that standard, right? I'm like, definitely way too type A. So if they even get close to passing my guard, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm horrible. How are they going to believe in what I'm saying? And then I take a step back and I'm like, hold on, I've got good technique. Like they're way bigger than I am. And you know what? Half the upper belts could probably pass my guard, but they're not putting down their weight. So it's just a matter of perspective. And it just allows me to I have to bring myself back to think about those things. Otherwise I think I would get in my head a lot easier. But no, I do believe in everything I'm doing. Otherwise I wouldn't want to be doing it. I wouldn't want to be selling them something that I didn't personally believe in.
This is really fascinating. Your story is really fascinating, and I'll tell you why. And I'll tell you why. I mean, like on a very surface level, you do what 99% women don't want to do. So that's one. But I think this goes way deeper than this. Like I'm listening to you, and I am 100%, not 99, 100% confident that every girlfriend, every wife, every spouse was in a position at some point where their boyfriend, husband, or significant other is trying to do triangles on the couch when they are watching a movie. I mean, that's just, tell me I'm wrong. I mean, but here's the kicker out of all this, that probably all of them are being asked to go and try a class. 99% of them say no.
For sure.
1% will do it just so the guy shuts up.
That's so true.
True, right? And then out of that 1%, probably 99% will never go to the second class.
I feel that. I do. I actually agree. We have a lot of wives that are like that. Or they come and they quit. But you know what? I also know the counter 1%. There is a 0.5% that will go because their husband made them, or they'll start with their husband. And you know what I think happens to that very minimal percentage, but there's multiple people that will be evidence for this. The girl gets better. I'm not saying I'm better than my husband, but what I am saying is that there are a lot that either the female will get better or the female will become more dedicated and the husband will quit. Yeah. I've seen it a bunch, not in our relationship. Like we do both train, we train the same, we both compete. So I'm not saying that at all, but there is always a couple of circumstances where the husband makes the girl come and then the husband stops, and the girl, she's the 1%. She's like, yep, I'm going to get my black belt. I'm going to kill them. And I'm like, I relate to that.
That one definitely holds the leverage in that relationship. I have to say that. But listen, you brought this up, so I have to ask. So who's more determined, you or your husband?
Oh, man, we balance each other out really well. I think
that's a politically correct answer.
We are determined in different ways. But to give an example of like why I would even say that is, we have a lot of people that have dated, like have become couples at the gym, so on and so forth. And there's a lot of things that happen. Most of the time, you see them cater to the lowest common denominator. So you're dating, you fall in love, you guys were both good at going to the gym, and then one of you guys is like, I'm not going to the gym today. And then the other one's like, same, let's order pizza, right? But from literally the time we started, there was different levels in classes, one of them being the hardest class at the gym at the time. And one of us inevitably would be like, I'm not going, I'm too tired. I did so much. And the other one would always be like, I'm going and you should go too. And there's like this little competitive streak between us. One, where we keep each other accountable, but two, like, I don't want him to be better than me. I spent my entire time trying to get my black belt before him. I was unsuccessful. But that I would imagine he's like in the same boat. Like we're competitive in a healthy way, but at the same time, we do hold each other very accountable. Like my game wouldn't be as good without him studying and helping me. And I don't think he'd stay as composed and realistic about things without me backing him up. He's better at being like an advanced instructor. I'm better at breaking down fundamental techniques. So I do think like, not that I don't think he's going to watch this, so I don't want to, say anything bad, but at the same time, we do balance each other really well.
Somewhere deep inside, you were hoping he would quit and you'll be the one getting black belt first, aren't you?
I tried. Listen, he went out for a year. I was like, this is my moment. I want to stand in line in front of him. I don't want him to quit, but I want to get it first. I tried the entire time. He knows it. My instructor knows it. It's crazy. Couldn't make it work.
That's all right. That's what makes a good couple.
I was really close. Even belt wise, I'd be like, got my belt faster than you did in the time that you got your belt. So, so dumb.
Oh, I can only imagine those dinner times when you guys are bickering about this.
Oh, it's great. We used to roll with each other all the time, and now I'm like, I'm not rolling with you. You're too big. But I'm like, he's just better than me. This is so annoying.
Is he better than you?
Well, how can we really determine that? Like, because he is.
I don't know. You made that statement, so I don't know.
I don't know. I guess we'll leave that up to the jury.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. You just made a interesting statement a moment ago. You said everybody is thinking about quitting, and if you don't, then something is wrong with you. I want to dig into deeper into this. After hundreds of people on this show, different people describe this different ways. Some say, no, I never thought about quitting, not even one time. I'm so stubborn, this was never an option. Others say, I think about quitting every single day. Obviously, these are extremes in both directions. You know, the truth is somewhere in the middle. But I do think that, well, actually, I know that most of our students look up at us and they look at the instructor in the middle of their room and they say, wow, I mean, that's extraordinary. They've done something that many don't, and they are there. They hold a black belt. They've been training for a decade or 2 or 3, whatever, wherever long it is. They have this knowledge, and in some ways, they put the instructor on a pedestal in a sense. You know, there's a skill, there's an effort, there is work associated with all of this. Yet, oftentimes those instructors go through these points of vulnerability where they almost didn't make it. They maybe there was a point where they almost went the opposite direction.
That's so true.
And I think that's a topic that's often not talked about. The struggles of the instructor, the hard work, and all the other things that go behind the scenes. How often have you thought about quitting?
I will say I probably do lean towards the I was never going to quit side. But I would be lying if I said it hasn't crossed my mind. You know, I've been out with injuries before. I actually had multiple back-to-back concussions, and it took me out a full year of training. I also think that belt-wise, a lot of people have different goals, but you don't know how they're motivated. Like, are they motivated intrinsically or extrinsically? Are they motivated by belts? And a lot of
Mhm.
white belts, they hold on to wanting that blue belt so bad, and then they get there and realize they're just a white belt that got their blue belt the next day, and like it's still hard, but now everyone's trying to kill you. And so I spent 4 years at blue belt. It was the longest belt I spent my time at, and it's actually a story I tell my students every time we do like a yearly promotion, because that was when I got injured. And that was when COVID hit, so like competitions
Mm.
halted, and then I just, I felt like I was ready to be a purple belt, but I put my trust in my professor to tell me when I was ready. But it started getting frustrating. I'm out for a really long time. I was injured for a really long time, and like I didn't know if it made sense to come back. So I think that's kind of the beauty of jujitsu is there's so many of those quotes that's like jujitsu's for everyone. But it's not. Jujitsu's for everyone until
Mhm.
it's not anymore, because so many external factors make you want to stop. And that's why I think that at some point, even if you don't truly want to quit, I do feel like it has to cross everyone's mind. Do you want a job? Are you if you are running a gym as an instructor, like, are you just tired that student is getting mad at you or not signing in or not like wiping their feet off on the mats or wearing their shoes on the mats? Like, just like so many little things. Like, do you want kids? Jujitsu is kind of like, it's a lifestyle depending on how you're choosing to do it, especially if you have a gym. So like, are you making time for your friends? Like, I'm sure both of us could sit here and be like, we've given up a couple things to keep running the gym and, keep it in business. So I would be lying if I said like, I've never wanted to quit. Do I feel like it's something that will be in my life forever? Yeah, I definitely think that but even just this year, I have been very transparent in being like, there has been moments where I'm like, well, why am I still doing this? What keeps me
Give me
coming?
give me one. Give me one. Come on,
Um,
open up here just a little bit because I think no, look, not in the sense of I think when we are in the leadership roles like this, people do look up to us. And I do believe everything that you are describing, people might not be a black belt or running an academy, but I guarantee it that people who listen to this conversation, they scratch their head right now is like, maybe I should stop. Maybe this doesn't make sense right now. Maybe I should just pause. Like, why am I doing this to myself? I mean, these questions are not uncommon. And I think when we do show that us as black belts and instructors, we are vulnerable too. And I might own an academy or gym, and I still think about quitting it. It's okay. Like, it's
so true.
okay to say it. You know what I mean? Give me
Yeah.
one example that
I'm gonna do
really
one better.
pushed you.
I'm gonna give you two. The first
Okay.
one is the really, really true one. And it's I always tell myself and I tell people the same thing. Like, if you're thinking about quitting really seriously, you should consider remembering why you started. And for me, it was so many things that has evolved my entire life. I'm a completely different person than I was before I started training jujitsu. I know we joke about the like people have tattoos where it says jujitsu saved my life. I don't think it saved my life, but it did greatly impact that. And when I remember the moments that brought me here, I never want to stop. I am so much more confident. I'm getting older and physically I'm in the best shape I've ever been in. My lifelong friends are all from jujitsu. I feel good when I'm training. When I have a bad day nursing, I go beat people up in jujitsu. So that's why I started, and that's why like when I feel like I'm quitting, I'm going back to that. The second reason, more recently, because if people are watching this, I think at least my students will understand. But it is not a secret that we did open a gym with business partners. I did briefly mention we're no longer with them. It was a pretty big falling out. And it wasn't something that my husband and I initially wanted to separate from. I felt like we did almost all the work for the gym. And so when we had to decide to separate or not from our business partners, there was a very strong moment where my husband and I looked at us or each other and we were like, that's it. We're quitting. You know, maybe we're quitting coaching, but maybe we're just quitting. Like, let's just go back and like live our lives. And the reason I didn't quit that time was for the people. We had over 100 students that basically were like, if you guys don't open up somewhere else, it doesn't matter. We're not going to be training at the gym that you guys are currently at with your partners. So recently, like about almost a year ago, little over like a year ago in terms of officially, when we separated, I didn't quit because of them. I went through maybe 3 or 4 months of being like, the reasons I loved it, I don't even know. I'm here doing this for other people, not for myself. And like, this is becoming more difficult. And then again, I looked back and I was like, I love competing. I love going out there. I love being in shape. I love like teaching people things that like I want to get better at. And then I like watching them get better. And so then I finally found it back within me to be like, this is why I'm here. This is why I'm still doing it.
What is interesting about all of this is the fact that um it sometimes we are just not vulnerable enough to express these things, and I think when people look up to us, they think like that these things don't happen, and you just describe these moments where really almost redefine our identity in a sense. Like, you've been training for years, a decade or nearly a decade. This event takes place for whatever reason. Doesn't matter who's right or who's wrong at that point, but there's a conflict. And you sit there and you talk to your husband and you starting to question whether you should do this. I mean, that's pretty messed up if you talk about layers of complexity and what's going through our mind.
Yeah, definitely. It was a lot of thoughts for sure.
That's hard.
It took, I mean, when you invest so much in something, right? In someone or in the something that you love, and like to let you know, like it was my husband's idea to open a gym. So he brought me on board with it, and then we brought two other people on board. So when you invest your dream into everything and then it gets crushed, you really sit there and you think like, why would we do that again? Like that didn't have a good outcome. So
So why did you do it again?
the people. It was the people, 100%. We were fully gonna stop, and then, like I said, there was people reaching out saying whether we stopped or didn't stop, they would be homeless. They would not have a home gym anymore. I thought we created a really good culture there. There was a lot of people willing to follow. I will be completely transparent in saying we were 100% not interested in opening a second gym. But when you think about like you just brought all these people together and now they're all going to leave and not have somewhere to go, it feels incredibly wrong. They bought into you, right? That's exactly what you wanted. You wanted to teach them everything that you love, and now you're just going to leave them and they're not going to have somewhere to go. So we looked at it like we are 45 minutes away from, like, our gym is 45 minutes away from the home gym. So it wasn't even realistic to be like, come train at our home gym, because obviously they're too far away. So that's when we were like, all right, we're just going to go ahead and do it. and this isn't really something we want to do. It truly was like the first time I was like, we were selfless in that, like, I wanted to just provide them a place to come.
How
And
do you
we figured out the
find
rest later.
how do you find that identity again? And like I recently talked to somebody else who has gone through similar stuff, maybe different. I mean, obviously different circumstances, but there was a shakeup, and they questioned themselves. Should I do this? This doesn't make any sense. I just could get a 9 to 5. Why do this? Like this corrupted the internal wiring, if you will. And there is no secret. Anybody who has taught one class, they know how much passion needs to go into that class in order for that class to cohesively just exist. And if that is rewired or corrupted, or that identity doesn't exist, it is very challenging to teach, let alone to run a business, to make this your life. I am so curious. What did you do to find it again?
I guess this might sound crazy, but I don't think we ever lost it. Like I said, I think our values are incredibly strong. I know the type of gym I want to run, and maybe that's what led to why it didn't work out. We are unwilling to compromise on things that I feel very strongly about. I want to run a good program. I want everyone to feel included, but I want to run a safe program, and I want them to raise to the next level. That's our identity of who we are, and that's the culture that we build around. So when the gyms were separating, if we were opening another gym, it was with those same standards. So if all 100 of those people that said they wanted to come came, we just created the same exact thing. If they didn't come and we had 3 people, I would have been happier teaching 3 people that believed in us than 100 people that didn't believe in the culture. So again, I don't feel like it ever left. The first gym we had, we put time and money into it. When we opened on day 1, that gym looked like a wellness center. It was so nice, right? We put all this work in, and then we leave it. And I'm like, wow, can't imagine doing that one again. So how are we going to find another place? There's so many logistics behind it.
Mm-hmm.
However, our coach was like, people already bought into you. Like, it's not like we're recreating a gym again for the first time ever. We already have our people. We just need a place. We could put mats down on cement, and if you are there, they will come. And that's exactly what we did. We borrowed some of our good friends' mats from another gym. We laid them down in a warehouse with like 3 separate units, which has since like begun transformation. We opened like 3 days after we left the previous gym, and we had like 50 people on the mats to be there, and nothing changed. The only thing that changed was the name was different and the place was different, but it was the same people standing there believing in us and us believing in them. And that was enough for me to be like, all right, then we're doing this again, because obviously they want to be here. Otherwise they wouldn't have come.
Would you agree that what makes a good gym or academy is the people versus the building?
Oh, 100%. If you asked me this 3 years ago, I might not say that, but right now, yeah, you could take anybody anywhere, and if they have a great group of people, I'm not just talking about the head instructors. I mean like the people in the gym, the coaches, the instructors, and the students. You take them out of the prettiest building, the prettiest gym that you can think of, and put them in a crap hole in a basement. It's the same place. It's that they're training the same exact. Home is wherever you create it. It doesn't have to be beautiful. It just has to be with the people that you care about.
Those are very strong words.
I really believe in them. So thank you.
Good for you. Good for you. Because I think this is, your story is not, it is sad story. But I also do believe that it's not unique. I think this happens in jiu-jitsu, and jiu-jitsu particularly, I think. And I was just talking to somebody about this literally yesterday morning, I think, where from one side, it is a business. We need to make money. Like, if we don't make money, it's like we need to eat and we need to do things. And you do, I do, we all do. It is business. We want to be successful with it. But because the relationships we create, there is a lot of gray areas, and that makes it very complicated
For sure.
environment. We want community, yet we create a transactional environment too. And and these situations that you describe are nothing new in jiu-jitsu. People have broken up, they create a rival teams, and like this is nothing new. And it's hard to be in those situations. And so my head goes off to you and your husband. You many would quit, many have quit in these positions, and you guys creating something unique.
I
Something.
appreciate that. I agree. I think it is definitely difficult, but it's for sure not uncommon. Just to share like one more tidbit about it so it makes full sense. The new gym's name is New Asgard. I don't know if you're a Thor fan, but all you have to know is that Thor, the god of thunder, lives in Asgard, and he in one of the movies, Asgard gets destroyed, and Thor comes out and he's talking to his dad, and he's like, "I quit. Like basically, I can't do
Mm-hmm.
this anymore." And his dad is like, "Well," he's like, "I can't do it. I don't have my hammer." And Asgard's dying. And his father basically is like, well, you still have your people, so you're just going to move them. And it doesn't matter where you're moving them because Asgard is the people, not the place. So full circle, that's how we got the name New Asgard for our
Who
gym.
who came up with the name?
Interesting enough, we kind of went back and forth, both my husband and we kept saying more so the phrase, it's not the place, it's the people. It's not the place, it's the people. You know, we're going downhill, we're losing a gym. That's all we kept saying. We were saying it to all of our students. And we were like playing with the name maybe Asgard, but like Asgard doesn't exist in the movie, whatever. And then we're sitting in the locker room at the old gym, and one of the kids is in the room with us, and he's like, you know what you guys have been saying though? It doesn't matter. It's not about the place, it's the people. And we looked at each other, we went home, we were like, it's New Asgard. So it was kind of like an effort.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. That's so amazing. I mean, it all comes together. Look, think about things happening for a reason, right? I
Things
mean,
always happen for a reason. At the
yeah.
time,
Do
it
you
probably
believe
doesn't
that?
feel like it, but they do. They do.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a big believer of things happening for a reason. There's always a reason for that.
I agree.
Look, as we've been at this for over an hour.
It's been a while.
Time flies when you're having when you're having fun. But I've said this during the episode a couple times, but I can't help myself to really be fascinated by your story, not only from where all this started to where it's going, through the obstacles, through the hardship and conflicts, but that's what life is. And I actually believe that's what jiu-jitsu is. I mean,
I agree.
we are always in a conflict. And it's we always solving a problem. Sometimes we gotta wait it out, and sometimes we gotta push through. And there are so many correlations in my life. Like I feel like in life in general between jiu-jitsu and life itself. Would you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. Could you imagine going into a jujitsu match, you slap bump, and then you just like pass their guard and submit them? That would not be fun. And I kind
No.
of feel like life's the same. Like maybe I'm wrong,
Yeah.
but you have to experience hardships to appreciate the really great moments. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you're not going to appreciate them as much. So, yeah, there's so many parallels between the two of them.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool to pass somebody's guard like smooth and flawless. Yeah, it's cool. Okay, let's not undermine this.
But not
But it's
every single
but there is
time. Like,
something but there is something super kick-ass awesome when you pass their guard, you can't, and you think that you can get it, and you do it, and it just feels damn good, doesn't it?
exactly. That's exactly it. You worked harder for it. So it was way better.
That's right. Absolutely. Before we wrap this up, I got last final question. Have you ever thought about what would happen with your life if you never gone to that first class?
What a crazy question. My husband was just talking about this the other day. I know I keep referencing him, but I don't know. I literally don't know. I breathe
All
doing
right,
jujitsu.
let's role play this.
Oh
Let's play
man.
this out. Let's play this out.
I'm gonna
It's snowing. You said he's not going. Screw this. I'm not going either. I'm not doing this nonsense. Where's your life today?
I'm probably still working out at LA Fitness, complaining that it's overcrowded, being a nurse on 13-hour shifts, and then after the shift, not having any way to take out my anger. patients are yelling at me, families are yelling at me. Somebody probably passed away, unfortunately. And then I go home and I sulk instead of going and taking my frustrations out on somebody else. So that's probably where I think I'll be. And I wouldn't have as many of friends as I have today. I wouldn't even be introduced to a whole crowd of people that like were literally in our wedding. So it would have been night and day. I also wouldn't be in better shape. I'm in better shape than I was when I was training at LA Fitness.
So it's safe to say it was a good choice.
It was a good choice. I never would look back and regret that choice.
Well, good for you. Good for you. Look, as we wrapping this up, I do want to thank you for being vulnerable and opening it up. I mean, we touched on some personal stuff and life stuff and all that is sometimes hard to, put in a public forum, but I do believe that people who do listen to this will be better because of it. And that's what leadership is all about. So I do appreciate you being here, spending this hour and so with me and sharing your story. And, what's next for you? What's next as this new venture of yours is unfolding with your husband and you are growing as a leader?
Anything we put our mind to, that's
Is that what
a
it
firm
is?
believer. We're going to keep growing the gym. I'm going to keep competing. We're going to keep cultivating women specifically in the sport, but definitely excited for men as well. And I'm going to keep saving lives by day if I can. Nothing's changing.
Good for you. Good for you. If anybody wants to connect with you before we wrap this up, where are you available?
Yes, please. Love to connect. You can message me on Instagram at Cathryn_Ivy. That's IVY. Or you can message the gym page directly. That's my direct connect too. And that's at New Asgard Martial Arts.
And as always, I'll make sure that all the links are posted in the show notes of this episode. So if you guys want to connect with Cat directly, feel free to do it. Ask questions. I think what a great story. Cat, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your story and spending this time with me. And I'll be sitting on the sidelines and watching as you continue doing amazing things. And as your new place continue growing. Congratulations on all of it. And thanks for hanging out with me.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. And yes, please come visit. Anybody. We love having visitors. So thanks a lot.
Awesome. Let's wrap that up for today.
Thank you for listening to RŌL Radio. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review and help us make the show even more amazing. For future episodes, check out our website and follow us on all major podcast platforms. Take care.